It gets packed pretty good for,
It does.
Eden, what do you think of Eden when you're thinking about it? It's like,
The red bandana and
it's-
some good times.
yeah, it's a smaller place.
It's not the place with the orange
And everybody shows up that piece.
carpeting.
Good evening, everyone. The 546th meeting of the Planning Board of the Village of Depew will come to order at 7:01 p.m. Could we have a roll call, please?
Member Fedorovich,
Present?
Member Matuzek,
Here.
Member Borowski,
Here.
and Chairman Maciejewski.
Here. Could everybody rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the notification of emergency exits.
The emergency exits are located to my left and to the rear of the room. In an event of an alarm or emergency, please move in an orderly fashion to the exits and evacuate the building.
Thank you. We have 3 items on the agenda for tonight. The first one is for the property located at 4801 Broadway. Could we have the legal notice, please?
Please take notice that the Village of Depew Planning Board will hold a hearing on Thursday, March 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. A pre-board meeting begins at 6 p.m. in the OEM conference room in the council chambers of the municipal building, 85 Manitow Street, Depew, New York. All social distancing and mask requirements will be followed. To consider the application for submission by David Cox of Passero Associates on behalf of Royal Wash Development, LLC, for property located at 4801 Broadway. The following matters to be reviewed. They are requesting the following: seeking concept site plan approval and a special use permit to construct a car wash. The current zoning is C2 Shopping Center District, and any and all persons interested in such application will be heard at this time.
So over here representing this project, if you could come forward. For the record, state your name and relationship to the project, please.
Good evening, members of the Planning Board. Ari Goldberg from the law firm of Barclay Damon, 9276 Main Street, Suite 3 in Clarence, for the applicant. With me tonight is David Cox of Passero Associates, Andy Burns of Passero Associates, and Anthony Daniele of the applicant. Thanks for taking the time to meet with us tonight. This is our first appearance before you to discuss the Royal Car Wash development at the corner of Broadway and Transit here in the village. What we're looking for tonight is just to hear some of your thoughts on the project, explain the project to you, and then I understand there also will be a discussion of approval or otherwise of the concept itself. From there, we'll submit further civil drawings. We will also be going to the zoning board for a variance regarding setback to the west of the property, as well as the square footage of our signs, the wall signs on the building itself. After that, we'll also be going to the village board, where they will hopefully designate themselves as lead agency and commence the state environmental quality review process. After concept, we'll eventually be back here with you throughout all steps of the way, and hope one day for your recommendation to approve the site plan itself, and then eventually go back up to the village board for final approval.
Just for the record, so the minutes state this is a concept submittal at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think with that, I'll really just turn it over to project engineer Dave Cox. He can explain some of the building itself, and then if there are any questions regarding how it works from a car entering in to going through, Anthony Daniele is here to answer those questions. And then I'll also invite you to, at any point, feel free to experience it for yourself. There are many Royal Car Washes throughout the area. Dave?
Thank you.
No, I'm good. Just want to say the introduction you did was like phenomenal. I thought it was like, felt like I was watching a TV commercial or something like that. So it was impressive. So right now, this site was an old gas station, and there's just a lot of pavement around there. So we're actually going to be ripping a lot of that asphalt up and putting some green space. Right now, there's just all this pavement right along Broadway, and a lot of pavement over here on Transit. So we're really going to, give a nice green corridor along the street there and put some street trees to really kind of dress that up quite a bit. As far as flow of the property, there's kind of 2 different ways you can get in. You can get in from Broadway, right here. You can go through. This is going to be our parking as well as our vacuum stations. So if anyone wants to get their car vacuumed there. So they would drive past there, and then they enter, and then we have 3 lanes of stacking here. They go to the pay station kiosk here. This is an unmanned pay station, more like an ATM. You can put your credit card in, you can put money in, or what most people are FastPass members. More than 75% of the members are FastPass, so you just pull up, and the gate arm opens up for you, and you can jump right on in. So then as you go around the corner, you can then enter the wash. If for whatever reason the wash is down or something's not working correctly, there is a bypass here that cars can loop back around and get out of the property. But they would go through the car wash, and then as they exit the car wash, they could exit out onto Transit. It's a right out only, or they could circle back around and get their car vacuumed or exit onto Broadway. So there's really multiple ways to enter and exit out of the property. We have 7 spaces along here that would be for employees as well as anyone that wanted to come into the office to get a fast pass or something like that. But there's no other sales. There's no any retail sales or anything like that. The only reason people would come in there is if they wanted to get had an issue or they wanted to get become a club member there. What else can I tell you? So the building is going to look a lot like this one. So all the car washes are have the same brick colonial style. They really wanted to make it look more like a nice commercial bank, if you will, or something like that. You know, not just a car wash. So if you've seen the car washes around, they really look really nice. They put a lot of money into making the building look nice and well kept, as far as landscaping, and making sure that everything is ship shape.
This is the one on Transit in front of Russell's, so right up the street. There's also one I'm sure you're aware of, West Seneca on Clinton
Yep.
Yes.
Transit.
Yeah, third one on Transit. Yep, and then just as far as building signs, there's on the long part of the building, there's going to be one car wash sign up here that faces the stacking lanes and things like that, and then then there's just two signs on each end of the tunnel, the exit and the entrance tunnel, and then there's a lollipop monument sign that will be at the corner of the property right here with the proper setback off the right of way. I think with that I can answer any questions or let Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, some of the typical questions that we get asked and we try to address on, in the design. The first is noise. Car washes can produce noise as along with clean cars. But the loudest part of the car wash is the drying, where the cars get dried at the end of the tunnel. And because it is a tunnel, that noise gets funneled at the exit, almost like a megaphone. So it goes out into Transit Road. We've done several traffic or sound analysis at different as part of different applications, and in this scenario, what we would find is that the noise that's generated from Transit and Broadway from the actual traffic itself will be louder than the noise that's being produced even at the exit of the tunnel, which again is the loudest part of the site. There are vacuums, and so those will produce some noise, but again, putting them closer to the road typically makes it so that, again, if you're standing there, you're going to hear the road more than you're going to hear the vacuums. So that's from a sound perspective. The other one is headlights. That's a concern sometimes, especially when you have a residential property next door. So we've already talked about either putting fencing here or a hedgerow or some way to mitigate so that when cars are coming and making this turn, those headlights aren't going into this person's house or whatever is going on there. So that'll be a part of the design. And then finally, water usage. One of the things that makes our car wash unique is we use very high pressure, small nozzles. A typical, if you wash your car at home, you would use about 100 to 120 gallons of water to wash your car. Our typical competitors in this area use an average of about 50 to 60 gallons of water per vehicle when they wash. Ours, we keep it under 35 gallons per vehicle. There is some water reclaim process. Some of it does depend on time of year. If there's a lot of salt on the road, you can reclaim less. In the summer, you reclaim more. But about 15% of the water is reclaimed, so that helps as well. And as far as taxing a sewer system, first of all, this area will now have the cleanest sewers of anywhere in town. But as far as capacity goes, typically sewers are taxed during a rain event because inevitably there's rainwater that ends up in the sewer whether you like it or not. And that's also a time when we're not really operating much at all because people tend not to get their car washed during a rainstorm. So, those are some benefits that we tend to find when we're designing it and how it affects the sewer capacity. So with that, I guess
One thing I
Go
also forgot to talk about is just traffic quickly. So a car wash is very similar to a gas station that it relies on bypass traffic. So it relies on cars already on the road, already going someplace to pull in and get their car washed. So that's why we are trying to locate, car washes on busy intersections or busy roads because it's people already driving on that road that are going to pull in. People aren't, going to drive 3 miles out of the way to get their car washed. They want to do it on their regular commute or on their way to the grocery store or things like that. So it is a large percentage of bypass, people already on the road pulling in, get their car washed, continue on their way. We have sent this concept to DOT. They said that right now they concur with what we're, proposing, and they asked us to, go ahead with the formal permit application.
Yeah, they gave us some preliminary comments, and I'm sure they'll have more.
They will be contacted as part of the CEDAR process. DOT will be one of the
Right.
agencies that receives the full statement of the proposed action as well.
Yeah, and I know the creek is also a sensitive feature, and I know DEC will be a party to the seeker process.
Right.
And we are maintaining a large wooded buffer in between the creek and the proposed project that pretty much we've taken the existing pavement edge. So we're not encroaching any further into that area than already existing pavement is. And we're up quite a bit higher. There's probably a good 12 to 15 feet above the creek elevation. So we're up pretty high above it.
Your legal counsel was kind enough to answer some questions that are pre-meeting, but we do have to address them again. And part of the reason why we want to address some of these things is, again, you're in here for your concept approval. We want to make sure that you have everything in place when you do come back here if this is approved tonight. So some of these things may be redundant. I know you touched on some of them. Just a quick question. Your hours of operation, you don't anticipate those changing, do you?
No. So the earliest we open is 7, the latest we close is 10. Since COVID, we open at 8 and close at 9, and I don't anticipate that changing. The hours are actually a little less on Sunday as well. So.
And again, you touched on your report or your submittal to the DOT, and that is going to be huge on a final approval. As you said, it's it is a very busy corner. So the DOT requirements are going to be taken very heavily by this board, so that's going to be huge. Yes, and you mentioned the drainage, and I know Cammie's going to have final thoughts on that. Your plans are for tapping into this sanitary sewer on Broadway, is that?
Yeah, we would like to tap into Broadway First Transit if we can.
Okay. And again, I don't want to step on Cammie's toes, so I'm sure she'll have more.
But I
than
think
that.
you mean the storm sewer. I'm assuming you're going to utilize storm sewer on either Broadway or Transit for
Yes.
for
Well-
drainage. You said sanitary.
Yeah, well, their drainage from the car wash will have to go to sanitary, correct?
Yes. Yeah, but everything from the site will have to go
Go
somewhere.
To the storm, yeah.
the storm.
But I'm familiar with that sanitary sewer on Broadway. That was my question on that. You mentioned the noise, and yes, about the tunnel noise. Where your vacuums are close to that residential property to the west, how much noise do your vacuums generate?
I don't want to start throwing out decibels, but again, generally, as long as the vacuums are close to Broadway and the house is set back, will the house hear the vacuums? I mean, I guess to say they won't hear it at all would probably not be fair, but again, if we put fencing, and I don't know what the setback is to put a fence from Broadway, I know you don't want the fence all the way up to the property line.
Correct.
Because then you have visual issues, but, that would be helpful, and then obviously some plantings, that'll mitigate it significantly. We have the wash at Clinton and Transit, there's a residence right next to it, and that was a big concern, and it really, and actually, I think the vacuums are actually closer to that residence than they are here. So I would, if there is a question with that, I would encourage anyone to check that site out, because you can go stand there and hear it for yourself. All the numbers I give you are what they are, but that's the reality, so.
And the hours of operation are within what the noise ordinance
Correct.
calls for. So if there is any noise that potentially is greater than the ambient levels, it won't be occurring outside of what's permitted in the noise ordinance.
And you've mentioned that fence to the west of the property line there, and that's going to be one of the requirements from this board, obviously, on hopefully keep any complaints, if any,
Yeah, and we'll
to
look
a
at
minimum.
code and see what the height should be and setbacks and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Couple things that'll need to be on your final site plan, your dumpster location, if you're going to be using a dumpster, and snow storage areas, that all has to be on your final submittal. I guess this is more for me, and I asked this question in a pre-board meeting just because of my background. Size of the water line coming into the building, just curiosity.
Yeah, typically it's a 4-inch line.
It is a 4-inch line.
Yeah, some of it
Okay.
depends on the water pressure in the area. I don't know what it is, I'm sure you do. But we do have some with 2-inch lines, but we generally just do a 4-inch just to be safe. And you never know what comes down.
So what, maybe you do know this or don't, what, with that 4-inch line, what would be at your peak gallons per minute that you would be flowing, do you know?
The peak is about 125 gallons a minute. It's
125 a minute?
Yeah, absolute peak. Like I said, that's the absolute peak.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I think that's going to be part of Erie County Water's approval.
I'd like to see an engineer's report with, water usage and so
Yeah,
on.
yeah, because that was one of my concerns, and I didn't realize it was 4-inch lines. And one thing is there was from your drawing there to your submittal was the height of the building. There was 2 differences, and you're showing 30.7 something, which in the realm of what the village requirement is. Then we had that 35 on the site plan. So.
Yeah, we'll make sure that's consistent, and we don't
Yes.
anticipate asking for that variance, so if we have to make an adjustment, we will.
Okay.
And just for, this was discussed at the pre-meeting, but 260.16A2 of the Depew zoning code is mean height of a gabled roof. And I think it was 37 and 29.4 now. And there was an error on the concept plan, says 35, but.
Just so we're consistent.
It's 27.5 and 30 feet 7.5.
Yeah.
So it would be the mean height of those 2 roofs combined, and I think that should fall below 30 feet, but
Yes.
we'll provide a confirming
Yeah,
calculation.
just so it's confirmed and consistent with both. Planning board members, questions?
We went over everything.
Legal, Sam?
I don't have anything, as we discussed in the pre-board, the concept and the green light for the applicants, so they're more comfortable spending the money on the things we need to get this across the finish line, and make sure all your questions are addressed, so you don't do a 180 and come here again. If anyone has any other questions.
Code enforcement. Rick?
Yeah, just a couple things, is the light standards are gonna be, fall underneath the required heights. There should be no reason to get higher than our normal height standards, dark sky friendly.
Yep.
Second part to this is, the trees on proposed and transit, the DOT has a certain kind of requirement of trees within the right of way. Just verify that's permitted. Normally, they don't really like trees close to the road, that's my recollection.
Yeah, and the trees are outside the right of way.
Okay.
But yeah, we still like to put them in similar trees that the DOT
To set,
likes.
right.
Yep.
It did talk when the island got added from the last original proposal from the right-in, right-only on the transit exit discharge. I believe the sidewalk might run across that, but I don't know that positively. It might not come further south of your parcel. It ends before it goes across the overpass, but I don't know that. Just make some sort of way to go across the island.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? So we have a designated,
Yep.
it's not a hump, it's basically the accessible route.
Yep, good thing.
And you said you did get some preliminary comments from the DOT?
That's correct.
Could you share that?
Yeah.
Can you share it with us? Yeah, just
Yeah,
if
I
there's
don't have it
anything.
on me right
No,
now.
I understand, but just kind of see what they're proposing and see where you think you might be going with some comments they might have made as preliminary.
Yep, sure thing.
Could you share that with those now?
Yeah,
Verbally?
Oh, so I can't, because it was a couple weeks ago, but they definitely recommended the right out only. That was one of their things. But they were generally,
Was that on both driveways or just the transit
no,
road?
just the transit road one. But besides that, they said that they were, generally thought that the locations, and right now this is like a giant curb cut. So we're actually reducing that, making that a lot better. The DOT was very happy with that, of, really confining that curb cut and also, reducing the amount of pavement right along the right of way.
I know they had a comment about the distance between these two. Like this was originally designed closer to the edge of the property, and it was moved based on. And again, their comments were very
Conceptual.
informal, right? But just like this board is right now, the more they gave us, at least when I do submit something, we've already addressed some of the bigger issues, and then we go into fine detail.
Right.
You don't think you're gonna need a hot box? You definitely do it inside the building, the backflow prevention?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yep.
Rick,
I'm all
anything
set.
else? Gentlemen, anything?
Nope.
Okay. Engineering, Cammy?
I don't really have very much right now because it is concept plan. Obviously, once they submit civil drawings, we'll do a full review. I would just suggest that because Cayuga Creek does have a floodplain, that you show that on map somewhere to show, as long as you're sticking to that pavement edge. I'm assuming you're outside, but show it on a map. And then I noted on your short environmental assessment form, your parcel's about 1.25 acres, and your physically disturbed is marked as plus or minus 1 acre. 1 acre means a
We
speedies
know the
permit.
difference, yeah.
0.99 means no speedies
0.99
permit.
or less, I think.
So,
Plus or minus.
You may want to clarify, I'm assuming you're trying to stay under 1 acre of physical disturbance.
Yeah, and we won't know that for sure until we actually get the survey and do the final design, but yeah, our
Okay.
hope is to be under 1 acre.
Okay. Obviously, if that was more than 1 acre, we would see a SWIP
Yes.
and everything that goes with it. If you're under, just erosion sediment controls on your civil plans.
Anything else, Gary?
Nope.
Just, while we're talking about the short form seeker, and I think it was probably an oversight, but on the public water connection and public sewer connection, neither the yes or no box was checked off. So I'm sure it was just an oversight.
That must have been an oversight. I like to blame it on him, even though it
I took
wasn't
blame
him,
at the pre-meeting.
right?
Is there any public concerns or comments?
Hello, my name's Stephen Hoffman, 31 Ridgeway Street. Before you appear in front of the zoning board, you might want to reconsider your review of your side setback. And then I'd like to talk, as I left your message, tomorrow regarding the lighting and hours of operation for lighting. Okay? That's it.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Hoffman. Any other public concerns or comments? Okay, gentlemen, just one thing, we've talked a lot of different items tonight. If you do come back for your final, make sure everything is on your final submittal. It's for code enforcement down the road to make it easier for them to enforce and to make sure that we can give you the final go-ahead. I gotta say, I think this is a plus project for the Village of Depew. As you said in the beginning, this lot's been sitting empty for at least 6-7 years, and I think it'll be beneficial to some of the businesses around it too. I think it'll help them, and I think it's a good project, and this board is very good on making sure that all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. So that is the one thing we want to make sure. And again, referrals from state DOT, Erie County Water, Erie County Sewer District are going to be very important to this board. So at this time, a motion would be in order.
I, Member Matuzak, make a recommendation to the village board to accept the concept plans as submitted.
Is there a second?
I remember David Fedowitz, second it.
On a motion by member Batuzak, second by member Fedorovich to accept the concept site plan, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Fedorovich.
Yes.
Member Matuzak.
Yes.
Member Morowski.
Yes.
And Chairman Maciejewski.
Yes, 4-4, motion's carried. Good luck, gentlemen. We look forward to seeing you again here shortly, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
And my compliments on your process, and, we had a very constructive pre-meeting that helped tee this up so that it was more productive, so thank you.
Thank you.
Once we go out, all our cars will be clean.
Okay, the second item on the agenda tonight is for the property located at 5075 Broadway. Could we have the legal notice, please?
Please take notice that the Village of Depew Planning Board will hold a hearing on Thursday, March 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. A pre-board meeting begins at 6 p.m. in the OEM conference room in the council chambers of the Municipal Building, 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York. All social distancing and mask requirements will be followed. To consider the application for submission by Coral Silsby of Project Expeditors Consulting Corp. On behalf of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank for property located at 5075 Broadway. The following matters to be reviewed. They are requesting the following. Seeking site plan approval for tenant fit-out and exterior improvement for ADA compliance. Any and all persons interested in such application will be heard at this time.
Thank you. Who's here representing this project? If you could come forward for the record, state your name and your relationship to the project, please.
Sure. My name is Kyle Goodwin. I'm here with Stonefield Engineering and Design.
I'm sorry, your last name was
Goodwin.
Goodwin?
OODWIN.
Thank you.
And we also have Rich Dortis, who's here.
Could you spell that last name for me, please?
DORDAS.
Thank you.
Yeah, the things don't say it. So if you give us an overview of what you're proposing, please.
Yeah, so just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to present this project. We're really excited about this. It's a existing vacant financial center. You may be aware at the corner of Broadway and Panora here in the village. We're proposing, like you mentioned earlier, to re-tenant the space. We also are proposing some exterior improvements, first of which ADA improvements, lighting improvements, and finally some facade improvements from an architectural perspective. Firstly, the ADA improvements. The existing site, we found it was not ADA compliant from a couple perspectives, so we will be proposing some ADA remediation in the parking lot for ADA compliant slopes. And we're also proposing a new path to the right-of-way from the branch. You can see it right here. Considerable slopes on site, so we are proposing a ramp to the right-of-way. Secondly, the lighting for the site. Lighting for the site has been designed to New York State ATM standard for safety requirements. These standards set forth by the state basically require specific lighting levels for 24-hour accessible ATMs, of which there's 2 on site, one here at the front vestibule, and then one here at the existing rear drive-through facility. Those 2 ATMs, like I mentioned, would be operating 24 hours a day. So we would be providing the New York State compliant lighting levels for both of those. So the lighting design has been designed accordingly. And then lastly, we'd be making some architectural exterior upgrades, inclusive of some signage which has been submitted, and elevations that have been submitted as well from TPG Architecture. Those are some minor upgrades and sort of revitalization to the existing facade. And that's shown on the documents that TPG has provided. So without any further ado, just a quick recap, we're proposing some ADA upgrades, lighting upgrades, and some facade upgrades as part of the re-tenanting of the existing vacant financial center.
You're not changing anything as far as like the major components of the building itself?
Yeah, that's correct. It's just some facade upgrades. There's no material changes to the facade. It's adding a storefront and refitting some new ATMs to the property, as well as the ADA upgrades.
And you will be, not you, the bank itself will be maintaining that ADA ramp as far as snow removal?
Yeah, that's correct.
Board members, questions? Legal, Sam?
No, that's all. It's pretty straightforward. You weren't at the pre-meeting, but I've never seen a project get so little attention and so many compliments.
Well, I appreciate the compliments. I wasn't there to get them, but that's okay.
Code enforcement?
No, I appreciate the efforts in improving accessibility to, buildings that existingly do not have it. That's a great thing. Appreciate it.
We're good.
Nothing? Engineering, Tammy?
Nope. Everything seems sound from the engineering side. I have no comment.
Public concerns and comments? And again, just like I said at the last project, this is awesome for the Village of Depew. It's another building that's been sitting vacant for a few years, and glad to see you guys coming in and as the attorney said, putting a lot of effort into your proposal here. So looking forward to that. With that, a motion would be in order.
I, Member David Fedowitz, make a motion to make the recommendations approved for the following.
Seconded.
A motion by Member Fedorovich, seconded by Member Morowski. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Fedorovich.
Yes.
Member Matusek.
Yes.
Member Morowski.
Yes.
And Chairman Maciejewski.
Yes. 4-4, motion's carried. Good luck, gentlemen, and again, thank you for coming back to the Village of Depew.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. Have a good night.
Okay, our third item on the agenda tonight is for the property located at 2197 George Urban Boulevard. Could we have the legal notice, please?
Please take notice that the Village of Depew Planning Board will hold a hearing on Thursday, March 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. A pre-board meeting begins at 6 p.m. in the OEM office conference room in the council chambers of the municipal building, 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York. To consider the application for submission by Michael Karuba on behalf of Karuba's Chicken Pit for property located at 2097 George Urban Boulevard. The following matters to be reviewed. They are requesting the following. Seeking concept site plan approval for construction of 2 accessory structures and an outdoor cooking space. Any and all persons interested in such application will be heard at this time.
Okay, who's representing this project? If you could come forward for the record, state your name and your relationship to the project, please.
Hello, my name is Michael Karuba, representing myself. I own and operate Karuba's Chicken Pit. Currently, we are a mobile outfit. I'm happy to have found the property at 2197 George Urban Boulevard, which I recently purchased. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in the Village of Depew. I recently moved away to Amherst, but I have a lot of ties still to the village. My family still lives here. So it's very exciting for me to find this property and be in the village where I'm from. As far as what we're seeking approval for today is, first of all, a pole barn for some of our dry stock and some of our equipment. Like I said, we are a mobile outfit currently, and we're going to continue that for our fundraisers and whatnot. Along with that, we also want some sort of structure, lean-to, if you will, for some of our smaller trucks to keep them out of the weather. The pit also, so we're going to have some sort of, we're going to have a outdoor cooking area, which is going to be a covered area following all fire code, 15 feet from all structures, on a concrete pad. Excuse me. We're going to have an enclosed area, a fenced-in area, 30 by 30, right behind the structure. And we'll have all of our Class K extinguishers out there. We'll have access to water. And there shouldn't be an issue as far as any flare-ups go. The additional structures as far as the pole barn. That's going to be for our dry stock charcoal container, stuff like that, because we go through a bunch of them throughout the summer months. The rest of the area, the green space, if you will, I think it was great to sit in the pre-board meeting and get some input as far as the runoff especially. I think we're going to definitely try to keep at least 10 to 15 feet from the fence line for that runoff from the gutters. Ultimately, it doesn't change our plans in any way, but just making sure that runoff space is there. In a nutshell, that's pretty much it.
Okay, a couple things, and again, you had, the luxury of being there for the pre-board meeting and heard a lot of the recommendations, but, going through this again for the record, the existing fence, your plans for that?
Yep, so as soon as the weather breaks and we can actually get on the grass, that's going to be my first course of action. It's broken down and needs a lot of attention. So we're going to fix that up. We're going to stain it. It's going to look nice. So that should not be an issue as soon as the weather breaks and we can get. I tried walking back there yesterday a little bit. It's a little soft. Otherwise, we should be good to go as soon as we can get back there.
Okay, any existing lighting poles?
Yep, so there is existing poles on the property with outdated lighting on them. So I took some recommendations from our pre-board meeting about what direction to go in, the dark sky friendly ones, and I'm going to go in that direction. We'll get on that actually tomorrow and see what I got to do as far as ordering them and keeping the neighbors happy.
Okay, and the existing shrubbery?
Yep, the existing shrubbery on the east and west ends are overgrown severely, so we plan on pulling them out and replacing them with more modern shrubbery, just to dress it up a little bit. The green space in the front of the building, on the north side there, that's all going to stay. We're not going to touch any of the green space there. We are going to remove some of them shrubs and replace them because them are overgrown also. So as far as green space, we don't want to lose any in the front. So.
Questions from board members?
Good.
Legal? Sam?
So this is not really a legal question, but just something that occurred to me, because I've eaten your delicious chicken before, and I know it's cooked outside, but you've got all this great stuff inside. So is there going to be outside cooking, inside, both? And if there's outside cooking, is there going to be any concern from the houses surrounding the area? Will it be near them? Will the smell carry?
Yep, so we've been operational for over 2 years now. We've had 0 complaints as far as smoke, smell, and that's mainly due to the way we cook. We cook at a higher heat, and the smoke really is not an issue ever. And like I said, we have not gotten one complaint as far as the smoke goes. I'm working with the fire chief now and fire code to make sure that we're doing everything by the book as far as the structure goes. The pit's going to be under. So it's going to be a non-combustible, made of non-combustible materials. But just the key on the smoke and disturbing the public, the near public, I don't foresee that being an issue whatsoever because we've cooked in much tighter quarters, and had 0 issues. And we use, and a lot of that has to do with the charcoal we use also. It's a higher quality brand, and I think that goes a long way.
Are you going to be cooking in the pole barn at
Nope.
all? Okay, so it'll all be in the brick building, that area?
Yep, so all of our kitchen, our pit, which is going to be directly behind the building, is going to be for the chicken. Obviously, that's outdoor. And then inside, we're going to have a hood, a 16-foot hood with fryers and all that other fun stuff. But no cooking whatsoever be done in the back barn. That's strictly for dry stock.
Anything else, Jeff?
I didn't have anything legally.
Code enforcement?
Okay, just a couple things that, literally in 20 minutes you can think of other things, but all the parking to the west side of the parcel is literally kind of decided to go right up to the fence. And typically the way you plow is you don't want to back drag.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to get right next to the fence, but you know how that typically, and then really your entrance is literally coming in almost where the cars are. If you look at the distance, how you have the cars coming out, it kind of almost impacts into the entrance.
Yeah, there's about an 8-foot setback.
Already? Oh, there is?
There is. It's curved.
It doesn't show. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
The fence, the curbs aren't right on the fence line. there's a gap, a little bit
Okay.
of gap behind it. So when you pull in, there's actually, you gotta almost come around a little bit. There's, from the corner of where you come in to the end of that parking space.
Yeah, 'cause if you look at, this is where my handicap is, that's what I'm saying. If you come in here, and my handicap's right here, literally at the first spot, and if these are crouching out to it, this could be, normally you always go in like this. Fortunately, it's only one way.
Yeah.
So there might be some ability to very clearly push this way a little bit, so this is not, because if there's just a little snow storage,
Yep.
these slowly creep out.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, and I don't, again, that's one of the things I don't, we were plowing this lot since I purchased it. We didn't really have much of an issue stacking
Good,
snow anyway.
okay.
If it did come to that, I would have snow removed. I don't see that being an issue.
Okay.
So that back corner is going to be where a lot of the snow is gonna go. But towards the front there where you're talking, there's sufficient space there. to
Okay,
put
okay.
snow.
To, I mean, even, like I said, where the handicaps are, let's suppose we want to store right here on this island, and right here,
Yeah.
this might be pulled down a couple, because it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. We
You know,
still
this
have
way, if you do
sufficient space.
snore a little bit here, it doesn't eliminate the handicap spot.
Absolutely.
This, also, I'm thinking about it, based on the corner, like you said, this is your dumpster location.
Yep.
This is gonna be very difficult to snore snow here with your trucks.
Well, it'll go to the opposite end.
Okay, over
Yeah.
here, where it says it. Okay, great.
Anything else, Rick?
No, that was it. Thank you very much.
Donnie, you guys got anything?
No, we're good.
Tammy, engineering.
I think from the engineering side, the only concern would be the runoff off the two new buildings, making sure it does not impact the neighbors. Preferably, it would go in, there's a catch basin right there. You know, we'd like to see, you know, everything kept on site or use the drainage system you already have. Your concrete pad in the back, protection around it of some kind so that traffic can move around it safely, and a section of that concrete to show how it's constructed to make sure it's thick enough and in good shape.
Absolutely.
And that would really be it.
Okay, thanks, Cam. Any public concerns or comments? Oh, and again, going back, another building's been sitting empty, in the village for a while. Section of George Urban, you know, in the last 10, 12 years, I know Audrey's sitting here, she was on this board. We had a lot of proposals come in front of this board from that section of George Urban, and it's been like a revitalization over the last 10, 12 years, and I think this is just going to add to it. Nice to see the building, and Mike said, I mean, I've known his family forever. His family's been very well involved in the fire department and the Eagles, and you know, his grandfather worked for the Village of Depew for many years, so it's nice to see Mike come back where his roots are, too. So, with that, a motion would be in order.
I, Member Morowski, make a motion that we accept the proposal as it is and proceed with all your orders.
Is there a second?
I remember Matuzak second it.
On a motion by Member Borowski, seconded by Member Matuzak to accept the site plan as submitted with the stipulations of the engineer for the concrete specifications and the fencing around the pad. We have a roll call vote, please.
Member Fedorovich.
Yes.
Member Morowski.
Yes.
Member Matuzak.
Yes.
And Chairman Maciejewski.
Yes. 4-4, motion's carried. Good luck, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Look
Look
forward
forward to
to
working with you.
Yum, yum. When's it going to be open?
Yeah, when are you going to be open, Mike?
Not May 21st.
Pick the wrong night.
See, with that, a motion is in order to adjourn.
I second the motion to adjourn.
On a motion by Member Matuzak, seconded by Member Fedorovich to adjourn the meeting at 7:44. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.